All right, fourth grade. Now that we're done painting our wonderful different colors that we did last time and these are dry, I want to talk to you about the next part of our project. And that is doing colors and shapes together to make this whole project into a color wheel. Okay, so the groups of colors we made, like I talked about, we have our primary colors, which were the only colors we had on our tray. The secondary colors, which would be our orange, our green, and our violet, which is like a perfect mix of both of those colors. And then we mixed our tertiary colors. So that's your red orange, your yellow orange, your blue green, your oh my gosh, I'm gonna start over. Yellow, green. All right, fourth grade. Now that we're done painting all of those colors we did last time when they're all dry, we're going to talk about the next part of our project, and that is combining these colors with shapes to actually make a color wheel. Okay, so all the colors kind of flow together. So to kind of review what we just talked about, we painted with primary colors, which is your red, yellow, and blue. We made secondary colors, which is our orange, our green, and our violet. And then we made those colors in between, which are called the tertiary colors, and that's your red orange, your yellow orange, your yellow green, your blue green, your blue violet, and your red violet. So when you say those tertiary colors, you always start by saying the primary color first, all right? So that's why it's red orange, not orange red, okay? So now we're going to get into all sorts of shapes, and there's two main families of shapes, and the first one is geometric. Okay, that is when your shapes have very straight, perfectly straight lines and corners. So there's very common ones that you probably remember, like a rectangle where there's all 90-degree angles in the corners, but one side is longer than the other. Okay, square is a perfect shape because it's the same measurement all the way around, and they all have those right degrees, the right angles, the 90-degree corners. A rhombus is that fun kind of diamond looking one where all the sides are the same like a square, but it kind of got squished. So they make parallels going the opposite direction. And parallel again is where those lines never hit each other. All right, the square has parallel lines too, and so does the rectangle. Like the vertical and the horizontal lines will never hit each other. All right. Parallelogram is kind of like a rectangle, except for it gets pulled one direction, so it looks a little angled, and they still have parallel lines, but it just doesn't have right angles anymore. A trapezoid is when two sides are parallel, so they run forever one direction, but then the other side would eventually hit each other or intersect, right? That's why it's a trapezoid. And a kite is where all of the pairs will actually end up hitting each other at some point as well, and the angles are a little bit different. Okay, and a big one for geometric is also your triangles. There's equilateral triangles where they have all equal three sides and they're perfectly the same. There are isosceles triangles where two of the sides are the same and one is different. And if you cut a line straight down the middle, it'd be evenly balanced. And a scalene triangle has no equal sides. It's all kind of random and all over the place, right? Also, triangles are made up of 180 degrees. So acute triangles have angles that are less than 90 degrees. A right triangle has one angle that is 90 degrees, and an obtuse triangle has an angle that's over 90 degrees. So triangles can get kind of fun that way because they're all triangles. They just kind of get squished and moved around a little bit. And the last shape group I want to talk about are organic shapes. These are shapes that are curvy, they're wavy, they kind of go wherever they want, and they usually don't have straight lines or angles in them. Sometimes they kind of might come to a point or get a little geometric looking, but they're very much blobby, okay? So for our project today, we're going to be cutting these shapes, these colors into different types of shapes. Your primary colors will be one shape, your secondary colors will be another shape, and your tertiaries will be a third shape. But there's a rule. There's going to be one rule. You have to use at least one geometric shape with very straight lines, like my image has those diamonds, those rhombuses. And the you also have to use an organic shape. So I did kind of like a wiggly line and a heart because those are technically organic. All right. Your third group, whatever you want, can be geometric or it could be organic. All right. So give me one moment. I'm going to change my cameras around a little bit and talk about how the best way to chop up your paper to make this happen without spending all day doing the same thing over and over. So stay tuned. All right, so I have all my supplies I'm going to need to finish up this project. I have my dried paint, I have a scissors, I have some glue, you could use liquid or glue stick, whatever you have, and I have something to glue my pieces onto. So I'm just going to have a white piece of paper. In school, we're going to use a black piece of paper, so if you have black, that's fine. And I'm going to be making a color wheel. So I'm going to use a plate or a paper plate to trace a circle eventually. So I've oftentimes used ice cream bucket lids or a lot of plates. Anything that's like a big circle to help make a really big space to put these, that'll be handy. All right, so let's get started. I'll switch my camera and tell you how to get started. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is cut these into separate boxes. All right, and while I'm cutting them, I'm going to kind of organize them into primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So I kind of keep track of them as I go. So I'm going to start cutting. I'm going to try to get as much color as I can. So you can cut off all the white spaces. All right. They're going to be different sizes, but that's okay. Let's get cutting. All right. So if you count these up, you're going to have 3 primary colors. You're going to have 3 secondary colors, and you're going to have 6 tertiary colors. All right. So we want all your primary colors to be one shape, your secondary colors to be a shape, and your tertiary colors to be a shape. So like I said, you need at least 1 geometric, 1 organic, and then the third option, you can pick whatever you want. So I'm going to start by actually stacking all of my pieces on top of each other. I'm going to put the smallest one on the top so I know I'm cutting through it. And if you want to, you could draw your shape on here. If you want to plan and you know exactly where you're cutting. I am just going to start cutting because I know, my red's smaller, I know what shape I want. And as long as I have it, I'm good to go. So I'm going to start with doing a rhombus shape, all right? So I'm going to start cutting this. And as I cut, you're going to have extras, and that's okay. Don't worry. You're going to throw those schnibbly bits away, or you can make something else with too. It's kind of fun. All right, so got my primaries, and this is my geometric shape. All right. Has all those points, all those angles, and now because I cut them on top of each other, they're all the same. All right, kind of make sure we got them all here. It's okay if some of the corners are a little short, or you could just keep cutting and make them a different shape if you want. All right. I'll put those off to the side for right now. And I think I'm going to do my secondary colors. I'm going to choose organic for that one. So maybe I want to do a blobby shape, or maybe I want to do a heart, or maybe I want to do a circle. A lumpy circle would be more organic because a perfect circle is technically geometric. But I'm going to pick kind of a lumpy shape just to do something different. All right. As you're cutting, if you notice they're kind of jaggedy a little bit, you can always trim them up and make them look a little cleaner. All right. So I got my organic secondary colors here. Put those off to the side. And now for my tertiary colors, you might want to do a stack of 3 and a stack of 3 because this is going to get a little thick to get cutting. So, but you do want the same shape. So I think I'm going to do rectangle. I'm gonna do a rectangle because I have more diamond shape. I got more of this. I'm gonna stick kind of around the rectangle. So I'm gonna go cut that. And actually, when I'm done with the rectangle, I'll place the one I did on top of the pile. So I've signed kind of a template to look at. All right. So let's get this rectangle. All right. I got my shapes all cut up for all of my color wheel stuff, which is awesome. All right, and now I got to get my paper ready. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get It's okay if those are underneath there. I'm going to put my plan on top, and I'm actually going to trace my circle right now. Just grab a pencil and go around. If it doesn't perfectly fit, you can always cut it a little bit smaller so it fits just right. Okay. What's nice about paper plates is they just kind of bend while you trace around them, so that helps. Okay. So once you have your beautiful circle, cut it on out. All right. So I find the best way to start gluing these on is actually looking at complementary colors, which I did not mention in the presentation, so I might actually add that in now that I'm thinking about it. But complementary colors are opposites of each other. So let's start with our primary and our secondary color, so that makes it a little easier for us to see. So if I put red at the very top, let me switch that around so you can see a little bit more. The exact opposite of it is actually a secondary color, and that is green. So that would go right here. All right. You might want to figure out with your organic shape which way you want them to fit, because you all want them to feel kind of similar, right? So once you know, okay, got my red and my green, those are complementary. They are farthest apart, so you can start gluing those on then. Okay. You just need a little line of glue. Just stick them right on. All right. Our next step, that little blobby pointing in there, that looks good. Our next step, find your next set of complementary colors. And we do need to leave some spaces in between for these tertiary colors, right? So my next color we're gonna do, because red, we have orange. So next to orange, which will go about here, we're gonna have blue, okay? Because blue and orange are the opposite of each other. So let's glue those in too, so we know where they belong. Okay, got my blobs looking about the same. All right, and our last one is yellow and violet. All right, as you're placing them down, if they're still, if you're like, ooh, that doesn't line up quite right, doesn't look even, you can kind of move them around too. All right, that's why liquid glue is kind of nice, because it doesn't dry right away. Here is my yellow, here is my violet. And like I said, I'm leaving space between all of these shapes because I have my tertiary ones yet, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which one am I missing? Oh, looks like it's 6, all right. So from here, you're gonna have to figure out which color goes in between. So between red and orange, you should have your red orange. So find your red orange and glue it in between them. It should look very similar, so it should be hopefully easy to identify which one goes where. All right, next I have yellow and orange, so I'm gonna get my yellow orange and glue that one in. And keep turning my color wheel while I go. My next one is yellow and green, so I gotta get my yellow green in between there. Ta-da! All right, and I got my blue and my green, so I gotta get blue green. Okay, and I got blue and violet, so let's get blue violet. And last but not least, I have my red violet. All right, so as you're putting them in your wheel, if you notice that your shapes aren't fitting or they're like, oh, that's too big, you're more than welcome to put them all back together and give them a haircut to make them a little smaller, okay? But when you're all done, you will have a shape color wheel, all right? Switching my camera here so I can show you the final product when we're all done. It's going to be beautiful. This still needs to dry, so I'm not going to hold it up for too long. But when you're done with these color wheels, what I'd like you to do is take a photo of them and turn them in either email, or you can send them to me in the Google Classroom, or whatever works easiest for you. And my goal here when we're all done is that you had a geometric shape, an organic shape, and a bonus shape, whatever you wanted to pick, and that I could see all of the different colors. All right, so I shouldn't say, all these look green. There should be 3 different types of green: red, or yellow green, blue green, and green. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing what shapes you come up with for your color wheel, and I'm excited to see what we did. All right, again, if you need any supplies, if you haven't gotten your paints yet, or if you need glue or scissors or anything, please let me know. I'm happy to help you out, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. Happy creating!